Something remarkable is happening on Europe's eastern edge. For the first time since World War II, Germany is permanently stationing a combat brigade outside its borders. This isn't a short-term deployment. Thousands of German soldiers and their families will soon call Lithuania home. They're bringing Leopard 2 tanks and Puma infantry fighting vehicles, some of Germany's most advanced hardware. This marks a profound shift in German defense policy, a move unimaginable just a few years ago. It's a direct response to a more aggressive Russia and signals a new era for NATO. German forces will now be on the front line, just a short distance from Russian territory. The deployment sends a clear message. Germany is serious about collective defense, and an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all. The sight of German tanks in Lithuania is a powerful symbol. The post-Cold War era of peace dividends is over. Germany is stepping up to play a leading role in a new period of strategic competition. For over 70 years, Germany followed a policy of military restraint, shaped by the legacy of World War II. Permanent foreign bases were unthinkable, and the public was skeptical of military interventions. This deployment breaks with that tradition, marking a new chapter of German responsibility for Europe's security. Why now? Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 shattered Europe's security assumptions. Chancellor Olaf Scholz called it a Zeitenwende, a turning point in history. The deployment of Panzer Brigade 45 to Lithuania is the most concrete sign of this shift. It's a calculated move to strengthen NATO's eastern flank and deter further Russian aggression. This is the story of how and why it happened. After World War II, Germany was completely demilitarized. For a decade, it had no armed forces. Security was provided by the occupying allies. The idea of a German army caused deep anxiety across Europe. The focus was on rebuilding the economy and democracy, not the military. But the Cold War changed everything. As the Soviet threat grew, West Germany joined NATO in 1955 and created the Bundeswehr. This new army was strictly for defense, under NATO command, with tight legal restrictions on foreign deployments. The Bundeswehr's motto, "Citizens in Uniform," emphasized its democratic roots. After reunification in 1990, the military was downsized, and defense spending was slashed. Germany shifted toward peacekeeping missions, often in non-combat roles, and every deployment required intense debate. The idea of a permanent German base abroad remained taboo. This deep-seated reluctance to project military power shaped German policy for 70 years. That's what makes the decision to send a full brigade to Lithuania so historic. It's a complete break with post-war tradition. Europe's security landscape was shifting even before 2022. Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 was a wake-up call for NATO. NATO responded by creating multinational battle groups in Poland and the Baltics. Germany led the one in Lithuania, but it was a small, rotational force. Despite these steps, Germany's defense posture remained cautious, with low spending and a desire for dialogue with Russia. Projects like Nord Stream 2 deepened energy ties with Moscow despite warnings. The prevailing belief was that European security required cooperation with Russia. That changed overnight on February 24, 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. The attack shattered decades of assumptions and sent shockwaves through Berlin. Chancellor Scholz declared a Zeitenwende, a historic turning point. He pledged 100 billion euros to modernize the Bundeswehr and committed to meeting NATO's 2% defense spending target. These were monumental promises, signaling Germany's readiness to invest seriously in its military. The decision to permanently station a brigade in Lithuania flows directly from this moment. It's the most tangible proof that Zeitenwende is more than just a word. Germany is fundamentally rethinking its role in European security. The deployment is the clearest sign of that new reality. The German force heading to Lithuania is Panzer Brigade 45, a heavy, self-sufficient combat brigade. Nearly 4,800 soldiers, plus 200 civilian staff, will be stationed there, many with their families. The brigade's core 2 tank battalions, one with Leopard 2 A7V tanks, the other with Puma infantry fighting vehicles. These are among the most advanced armored vehicles in the world. The brigade will also have artillery, engineers, logistics, and medical support, making it capable of independent operations. An advance team arrived in April 2024. The main force will deploy in stages through 2025 and 2026. The goal, fully operational by 2027. This requires building new barracks, training areas, schools, and infrastructure in Lithuania. It's a massive logistical challenge, moving thousands of troops and tons of equipment across Europe. The brigade will be based in Rukla and Rudninkai, with new facilities under construction. This is a true long-term presence, not just a temporary mission. Lithuania's geography makes it a strategic and vulnerable spot. It borders Russia and the heavily militarized Kaliningrad exclave. The Suwalki Gap, a narrow strip between Lithuania and Poland, is the only land link between the Baltics and the rest of NATO. In a crisis, Russia could try to seize this gap, cutting off the Baltic states from NATO reinforcements. That makes the Suwalki Gap one of NATO's most vulnerable points. Stationing a German armored brigade in Lithuania directly addresses this risk. Previously, NATO relied on reinforcing the Baltics after a conflict began, a risky strategy. Now, with German forces in place, NATO shifts to forward defense. Any attack would mean immediate confrontation with one of NATO's strongest armies. The brigade's presence is a powerful deterrent, plugging a critical gap in NATO's defenses. Permanently deploying a brigade abroad is a huge undertaking, and expensive. The €100 billion Bundeswehr fund is for equipment. Ongoing costs in Lithuania come from the regular defense budget. This strains Germany's finances and requires sustained political support. Recruitment is another challenge. The Bundeswehr must find thousands willing to relocate with their families. Incentives and family support are being offered, but filling all posts won't be easy. Massive construction is underway in Lithuania, barracks, schools, housing, all on a tight timeline. Delays could impact readiness, so coordination between Germany and Lithuania is crucial. Politically, most parties support the deployment, but public opinion is still evolving. Decades of skepticism about military missions linger. Leaders must keep explaining why this commitment is essential for security. Any wavering could undermine the mission and send the wrong signal to allies and adversaries. Lithuania and its Baltic neighbors have welcomed the German brigade as a historic guarantee of their security. The Lithuanian government is investing heavily in infrastructure to support the deployment. For Lithuanians, the presence of German troops is a reassuring sign of NATO solidarity. Other Eastern NATO allies, like Poland and Estonia, see it as proof of German leadership. The US has praised the move as a step toward greater European responsibility. Within Germany, most political parties support the deployment, though some on the fringes criticize it as provocative or costly. The Bundeswehr is working to ensure good living conditions for soldiers and families in Lithuania. The mission's success depends on morale as much as military hardware. This deployment is a model for future NATO commitments. The eyes of the alliance are watching how Germany manages this historic task. It's a test of both military capability and political resolve. Moscow sees the German brigade in Lithuania as a hostile act. Russian officials condemn NATO's expansion, calling it a threat to their security. The Kremlin uses this deployment to justify its own military buildup and rhetoric. Russia warns of countermeasures, more troops in Kaliningrad, new weapons, and larger exercises. However, Russia's war in Ukraine limits its ability to respond militarily in the short term. Instead, expect more cyber attacks, disinformation, and political pressure to undermine support for the deployment. For Russia, this is about defending its sphere of influence. For NATO, the German brigade is a clear statement: alliance commitments are absolute. The deployment of Panzer Brigade 45 marks a new era for German and European security. The main goal is deterrence, making any attack on NATO's eastern flank too costly to attempt. If deterrence works, German tanks may never need to fire a shot. This sets a precedent for other NATO nations: forward defense, not just reinforcement. More allies may follow Germany's lead, strengthening the alliance's posture. But increased military presence raises the risk of miscalculation. Clear communication with Russia will be vital to avoid escalation. The challenge stays strong without triggering a spiral. Germany's move is a defensive response to a changed security environment. The hope is that this show of strength will preserve peace.